It is Sunday school. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Have a seat. Get out your Bibles and sit on them if your seat is too low. Anyway, it is April 14th. And in the United States, April 14th, well, all over the world, I guess, but April 14th is anniversary of a couple very, very sad events. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on April 14th. Okay. He and his wife had gone to the theater. This is just 5 days after the South lost the Civil War. Okay. In case any of you forgot that the South lost the Civil War. And an actor from a famous acting family, the Booths, was so pissed that the South lost the Civil War that he snuck into the theater where Lincoln and his wife were watching a play called Our American Cousin, and he knew the play pretty well, so he knew when the audience laughed. He knew what part of the play where a character said a joke of some kind, and the audience would laugh and make a lot of noise, and have the opportunity to sneak into the president's box and shoot him in the head with a little pistol. Anyway, it's a famous assassination. First president of the United States to be assassinated, and not the last, but the first. So that's a sad day for April 14th. Also on April 14th, 1912, the Titanic sank. It hit an iceberg and sank, and it was in all the news, and it was a very, very sad event. 1,200 people died, and the only good thing we can say about that event, I guess, was that later on it made a great movie, okay, and a great song, okay. But anyway, so there's been a couple of weird tragic events that occurred. So who knows what the stars were on those dates. And there's enough going on in the world for us to say, well, 1,200 people, 1,200, rich people and others on the Titanic, when every day thousands of other people right now are also dying and starving to death every day. And we have to sort of remind ourselves, those of us who are kind of nobody wants to in person even see a dog or a cat be injured or in pain. Okay, it tears our hearts out. But as we're going to kind of discuss in a minute, we can hear about the genocide of over 30,000 people, 14,000 children, and we just sort of go on with our day. And it's sort of a paradox of what it takes for us to survive with a relative sanity and intact. But this is Sunday school, and I've gotten off on a tangent, but it's hard for me to divorce uh, my feelings. Okay, uh, today, chapter 11 of Magic and Theory and Practice, or Book 4, Part 3. Chapter 11 has kind of two titles. And the first title is So Provocative. Okay, and you go, oh boy, now we're going to hear it. Okay, and this is Crowley writing in around 1923. And he was very inspired with the magical evolution he was going through vis-a-vis his involvement and participation and leadership of the Ordo Templi Orientis and its particular kind of Holy Grail ecstatic magic. So the title is called Of Our Lady Babylon and the Beast, Whereon She Rideth. So now we don't hear about Babylon in the Book of the Law. Okay, back in 1904. Babylon's not mentioned in the Book of the Law. But certainly Crowleyan magicians are very interested in the levels of consciousness as displayed in the Tree of Life and the supernal triad, 1, 2, and 3, way up there across the abyss on the Tree of Life. Number 2 is easily seen as what the Hindus call Shiva, and number 3, what the Hindus would call Shakti. Okay, the big male-female thing. So Babylon and the Beast are sort of the Western labels for Shiva Shakti. Hokma Bina. It's no big thing, okay? But Babylon isn't mentioned, and the dynamics between Babylon, number 2, or number 3, and the beast, number 2, is quite dynamic. Okay, that's the juicy thing that runs the cosmos. Okay, and the path that leads between 2 and 3 is Daleth, or love. Okay, the Empress card. Okay, that's the hallway that Babylon creeps over to the bed of the beast. Okay, in their lovemaking. Okay, they completely lose consciousness of their sense of separateness. 2 forgets he's 2, and 3 forgets she's 3. And in that ecstatic forgetfulness, they realize they're the one. Okay. So that's the Babylon and the Beast conjoined. And it's something that absolutely everyone on the planet can, who's ever experienced an ecstatic dissolution of consciousness for a moment, which is most easily and most commonly experienced in the ecstasy of orgasm. It's a common thing. Okay, it's just something that everybody could understand if they could put it in the proper words. And here, in Magic and Theory and Practice, the book that Crowley said was meant for the grocery girl and the pugilist. He's writing this book for everybody. And finally, in chapter 11, which 11 is the lust card, in where Babylon and the Beast are conjoined, or the strength card, where Babylon is as the woman holding the mouth of the lion. Uh, Now we're going to, Crowley's got a whole chapter here for us of Our Lady Babylon and the beast whereon she rideth. Also concerning transformations. So there's two subjects. And he goes, number one, the contents of this section, inasmuch as they concern Our Lady, are too important and too sacred to be printed. They are only communicated by the Master Therian to chosen pupils in private instruction. Thank you very much, Master Therian. You can't really blame him. Maybe he actually set aside in his mind that on chapter 11, which is the sort of the appropriate place to discuss matters like that he would do that. But he was also having second thoughts about what could be published in 1920 something and what could not be published or even hinted at in such a way as that it would adequately communicate something significant. So that's where he leaves us. And he goes on to talk about transformations. And well, it's just a page here, so I'm going to read what he says about transformations. Transformations, what we may think of as shape shifting or possessing. Well, we'll read it. Crowley makes it very clear what he's talking about. But he also sneaks in a few little tidbits, some of it in Latin, that kind of brings in the subject that he's kind of trying to avoid talking about in that that 2-sentence section that I just read. So, with your permission, and because it's Sunday school, part 2. The essential magical work, apart from any particular operation, is the proper formation of the magical being, or body of light. This process will be discussed at some length in chapter 18. We will here assume, thank you, when he starts out like that, when you first read Magic and Theory and Practice, we will here assume that the magician already is a master of this or that. Here. Yeah. We will here assume that the magician has succeeded in developing his body of light until it is able to go anywhere and do anything. There will, however, be a certain limitation to his work, because he has formed his body, his magical body, from the fine material of his own element. Therefore, although he may be able to penetrate the uttermost recesses of the heavens, or conduct vigorous combats with the most unpronounceable demons of the pit, it may be impossible for him to do as much as knock a vase from the mantelpiece. His magical body is composed of matter too tenuous to affect directly the gross matter of which illusions such as tables and chairs are made. Now a footnote. Listen up. The one really easy, quote, physical, quote, operation which the body of light can perform is congressus subtilis. Congress is another way of saying sex, having sex. And subtleness is subtle or precise or vaporous. The emanation of the body, quote, body of desire, unquote, of the material being whom one visits are, if the visit is agreeable, so potent that one spontaneously gains substance in the embrace. There are many cases on record of children having been born as the result of such unions. See the work of De Sinisterari on incubi and succubi for a discussion of analogous phenomena. Alexander the Great says he's the son of Zeus. His mother told him he was the son of Zeus. Virgin births. Mary. Well, I'm not going to totally open up that can of worms, except to give you a little food for thought where that is concerned. And that might also be something that Crowley tried to get in concerning his part 1 of Our Lady Babylon and the Beast. Anyway, but I'm projecting. I can't read his mind. But I'll repeat that. His magical body is composed of matter too tenuous to affect the gross matter of which illusions such as tables and chairs are made. The only really easy physical operation of the body of light, it's already part of the body of light, can perform is the congressus subtilis, the emanations of the body of desire, of the material being whom one visits are, if the visit is agreeable, so potent that one spontaneously gains substance in the embrace. Okay. There's been a great deal of discussion in the past with the colleagues of the Holy Ghost as to whether it would be quite legitimate to seek to transcend this limitation. And he's just talking about the more mundane aspects here of transformation. One not need presume to pass judgment. One can leave the decision to the will of each magician. The Book of the Dead contains many chapters intended to enable the magical entity of a man who is dead, and so deprived, according to the theory of death then current, of the material vehicle for executing his will, to take on the form of certain animals, such as a golden hawk or a crocodile, and in some form go about the earth, quote, taking his pleasure among the living, unquote. As a general rule, material was supplied out of which he could construct the party of the second part aforesaid, herein referred to as the hawk. We need not, however, consider this question of death. It may often be convenient for the living to go about the world in some such incognito. Now then, conceive of this magical body as a creative force seeking manifestation, as a God seeking incarnation. Now in the text here, that's in bold letters, that whole sentence. Now then, conceive of this magical body as creative force seeking manifestation, as a God seeking incarnation. There are two ways by which this aim may be effected. The first method is to build up an appropriate body from its elements. This is, generally speaking, a very hard thing to do because the physical constitution of any material being with much power is, or at least should be, the outcome of ages of evolution. However, there is a lawful method of producing an homunculus, which is taught in a certain secret organization, perhaps known to some of those who may read this, which could very readily be adapted to some purpose as we are now discussing. The second method sounds very easy and amusing. You take some organism already existing, which happens to be suitable to your purpose. You drive out the magical being which inhabits it and takes possession. Wow. To do this by force is neither easy nor justifiable, because the magical being of the other was incarnated in accordance with its will. And, quote, thou hast no right but to do thy will, unquote. One should hardly strain this sentence to make one's will include the will to upset somebody else's will. So when you hear people say, well, I'll do what thou wilt. Well, what if it's my will to kill somebody? Huh? Are you going to thwart my will? One should hardly strain this sentence to make one's own will include the will to upset someone else's will. Moreover, it's extremely difficult thus to expatriate another magical being, for though, unless it is a complete microcosm like a human being, it cannot be called a star. It is a little bit of a star, as a part of the body of Nuit. But there is no call for all this frightfulness. There is no need to knock the girl down unless she refuses to do what you want, and she will always comply if you say a few nice things to her. Crowley's being very chauvinistic, especially in his footnote here. Okay, it's amusing, but it's kind of... The footnote is, especially on the subject of the wand and the disc, and the money. Okay. Oh, you nasty man. You can always use the body inhabited by an elemental, such as an eagle, a hare, a wolf, or any convenient animal, by making a very simple compact. You take over the responsibility for the animal, thus building it up into your own magical hierarchy. This represents a tremendous gain to the animal. It completely fulfills its ambition by an alliance with this extremely intimate sort of a star. The magician, on the other hand, is able to transform and retransform himself in 1,000 ways by accepting a retinue of such adherents. In this way, the projection of the astral or body of light may be made absolutely tangible and practical. Okay, he's speaking theoretically here, and again in bold print. At the same time, the magician must realize that in undertaking the karma of any elemental, he is assuming a very serious responsibility. The bond which unites him with that elemental is love. And though it is only a small part of the outfit of the magician, it is the whole outfit of the elemental. He will therefore suffer intensely in the case of any error or misfortune occurring to his prodigy. This feeling is rather peculiar. It is quite instinctive with the best men. They hear of the destruction of a city and a few thousand inhabitants with entire callousness. But when they hear of a dog having hurt its paw, they feel the Weltschmerz acutely. Bummed outness, melancholy. It is not necessary to say much more than this concerning transformation. Those to whom the subject naturally appeals will readily understand the importance of what has been said. Those who are otherwise inclined may reflect that a nod is as good as a wink to a blind horse. That's our bizarre Sunday school lesson for today. Don't go out and possess a snail. Okay, it's probably not worth it. But it's a very interesting chapter and has wonderful little tidbits of information. And like a lot of things in magic and theory and practice, it's said in such a way as to be easily misunderstood by really shallow magicians to do really stupid things. And a nod is as good as a wink to those who aren't blind horses. So until tomorrow, big day tomorrow. Happy assassination of Lincoln's day. Happy sinking of the Titanic day. And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. Sunday school is adjourned.